What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekend astrology horoscope for the weekend of October 12th and the 13th of 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all so much. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. Fell asleep, putting Sterling to sleep. Thank God I woke up. Yeah, let's do this. Let's go. Let's go see what's up with this weekend. I appreciate you all so much. I hope everybody's doing well with this Pluto station direct. Um, I ended up today like getting some Cambo, just trying to get, but I'm exhausted right now. So let's just goose frappa through this weekend. Well, we're gonna see that sun come to 20 degrees on Saturday and really apply that strong pressure over to Mars, which very initiating, but also very there's a lot of tension. Mars is an initiator whenever we get these squares, especially with the sun dealing with how we identify ourselves with our relationships, with people in our lives, how we are emotionally feeling. Emotions can be like intensified, running high, especially with Mercury finishing up in Libra also and squaring Pluto. Definitely a mix for like some intense conversations, some just intense vibrations and feelings, and trying to delineate balance and like what's kind of fair and like what we want and what we want to identify with. And it's definitely a mixed bag of a bunch of different things, and Pluto's now direct. So it's an interesting time of like finding a lot of our inner power with Pluto here and being a strong authority figure for our life, but also a strong sense of realizing we can only be that authority figure in our own life. We can only, have authority in some way or some kind of control or power over ourselves and whatever our goals might be and our achievements and kind of how we go about expressing and showing ourselves to this world. That's what we have control over. But there's so many things outside of our control, like other people's feelings, other people's emotions, what society is doing, what the governments are doing, what all these different things. There's just so many, it's such a strong point right now to just remember to do your best for yourself and to show up for your loved ones and the people you care about as the most real and authentic version of yourself and the most nurturing version of yourself, and to give yourself that, because gosh, it is like it's definitely difficult astrology right now. High frequency, high energy. The solar flares have been off the charts. There were northern lights, in a lot of parts of the world that don't get northern lights. It's like a very high energetic frequency because there's some serious integration and some serious like evolution happening within us all. So, just the way we relate is really getting changed right now with the South Node in Libra and the Sun, this Mars square. And I think that this can make people extremely uncomfortable or feeling just all the feels in once, or all at once. And this moon in Aquarius is trying so hard to kind of keep us objective, but it can also, outcast us in some ways and make us have to like find space so that we can understand the depth of what's going through our mental capacities, our emotional capacities, and how we're showing up for ourselves and for others right now. And it's kind of a delicate dance, if you will. But we're also seeing the sun start to trine over to Jupiter and also start to oppose Chiron. Now remember, Mars and Chiron are in a nice little square here too. So there's big T square energy to that Mars. And it's just so weird because we're having to like understand so much about like the black and white truth of what's going on with people in our lives right now. And there's either extreme like abundance and like a vibrational match right now where it's just like people just get each other and it's like kind of easy, or there's just like extreme tension amongst all sorts of different relationships and things we build relationships to as well, or even just our relationship to fairness. um it's just high pressure, so we just want to do our best and try to show up for, again, try to show up as the most mature, high value version of ourselves as we can. And hopefully, that relates well with others. If it doesn't, it's definitely kind of seeing a big frequency mismatch. And it can be a little separating, if you will. Venus, 23 degrees of Scorpio, is starting to oppose Uranus. Definitely, like, this feels crazy, like a little bit. Like, the amount of people that could be going separate ways, or the amount of space and the disconnection between, of course, like different values that people hold. I was sitting at a place I like to hang out today, and just to get a drink real quick, and there's a crazy like little political conversation going on, and not the type of conversation you usually hear at this particular establishment. Um, so just seeing like what's going on with people and like this like disconnect of values, but that's a silly sort of analogy, but it is one, of course, in the United States right now. It is a thing, but I mean, it can go so, it can run real deep, with just different relationship values, how to give love, receive love, how to show up for others. Some people are showing up in a different way while other people want to be shown up for in one way. And it's really, there's a lot of like separating energy, this weekend. And on the other side, there's definitely energy that's like bringing together, but it's just got to be like such a sort of like vibrational match. And that's where it's like things are going to feel really inspiring with people, and really beautiful or deep in a good way. And it's just interesting to see. It'll be interesting as the moon's in Aquarius to be an observer of people and group dynamics this weekend, um, to kind of see where, like, gosh, where people are at mentally, where they're at emotionally, where they're at with themselves, where they're at with others, where they're at with money. It's almost like everything we could have a relationship story to right now is getting quite a test. And like, is it the story that's going to inspire you to be the best version of yourself, or is it the story that's kind of like pulling you down into an abyss? So we need to be very mindful about not only processing our emotion and taking the time to step away and process things with people if we need to, but also to process the mental mindscape within ourselves, and just see where our thought patterns are going right now, because they can go in a couple different ways. And one is like a really beautiful, connected place, and the other one's a very disconnected, dark, and restrictive place that, it's not that it's bad to go into those places. We learn so much from those places, but it'll be a good checkpoint on where people are at. Venus is also going to start this weekend making that nice trine over to Neptune, so that's super beautiful too. So I think this is it's a funny sort of energy this weekend, as we're building up to like what really is unconditional love, and how deep does that run, and what does that look like in your relationships? Because there's like all these like little tests that are like, is that really working? Is that really good and healthy for you? Is it really in alignment with your values? Or is it just a story that this eclipse season was meant to dissolve for more growth, right? So, quite interesting. As we look at Thursday, we're going to see the sun's going to finish up that 20th degree about midday, finishing, or even Mars comes to 21 degrees, so just very tight, especially Sunday. That's like the apex of the square between the sun and Mars. So again, like, that intensity builds. The intensity doesn't stop because Mercury is going to ingress from Libra into Scorpio during a big square to Pluto, the dispositor of Scorpio, and now direct. And again, this is just a really big checkpoint mentally and emotionally about where we're at, and like, how deep are things meant to go? And did you check the expiration date on certain everything's? Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether it's a relationship all the way down to like literally the milk in the fridge. I don't know if you even have milk. I don't drink milk either. I drink, almond milk or hemp milk, to be honest. I'm a weird hippie. But yeah, it's just a weird, there's just so much to process. And I think we want to make sure that we're transforming right now and integrating through process and not messing around when the expiration date's up. And that's just something you're going to have to know within yourself if it's up or not. And it's going to be like tension based. Like if there's anger boiling up, if you're just nerves or have just had enough with Venus opposite Uranus, and no amount of like hope is going to make it feel good, but only like truth and like intellectual and physical and emotional truth and depth and connection, like that's all there for people right now, and it absolutely can be for a lot of people. But like, man, if it's not there, watch things happen this weekend that are just testing the waters deeply. And it's a double Ingress day because the moon's going to finish up in Aquarius and of course start the day off square Uranus and then come into Pisces to trine Mercury. And I did there's so much stuff going on. It's like there's also a trine between the moon and the sun, from Libra to Aquarius. And again, that's where I already like channeled the message, so maybe that's why I don't feel like I needed to say it, but I'll say it because it's there. But like if things are connected, they feel really good. It's a frequency match right now for all things we build a relationship to. There's inspiration, there's the freedom to be an individual, and there's the ability to come to connect to kind of do something better. And like those things are going to work so good. But again, there's all these other challenges that we're having to work through to find what this balance and harmony is. And I mean, it is a lot of it is based around people in our lives and relationships. And Mercury's going to come into Scorpio, and like all of a sudden, we're going to be going straight Sherlock Holmes, like investigator, 3.0 with the square to Pluto, like to find out what's good and what's expired and where to mentally penetrate, and where, also with Mars and the Sun and square, it's like what we want to mentally penetrate, right? Well, is it for a beautiful depth? Is it for something sweet? Is it for something good, or is it like literally just to put pain, strike pain into somebody with Mars and the Sun squared? So, just don't be surprised if there's some, heavy things being said, especially with Mars and Chiron in their exact square and the Sun opposing that Chiron. It's just like big T square energy to Mars. So lots of sensitivities getting dug at, a lot of wounds getting picked at, and I feel like people could kind of strike for blood today. It's got that kind of energy. And again, it's great opportunities with Pluto direct for the final time in our lives in Capricorn. Like your power and control is over yourself, and that's the mature road. Other people can project on you all they want. You have to be strong in your values and know what's yours, what isn't yours, and not get, swayed or manipulated by certain things, whether it's societal based in the world or whether it's with a lover, whether it's with, your family. Super interesting dynamics going on today with relationships. Super interesting. And of course, as the moon comes into Pisces, like, oh yeah, we're wide open emotionally now. So can feel, I think good if we're connected well with the right energy and the right frequencies in our life. We can definitely be in a place where we're, seeing a lot of beauty in others, and that trine to Neptune with Venus can be really, really nice too. But otherwise, it's like vulnerabilities are like they're just wide open for people to, poke at. So we just want to be aware of what's going on, and how to be strong for ourselves, and I think how to remain emotionally positive and uplifted in a time where tensions are running high and emotion, we could all be a little beat down, a little tired. There is a little bit of a surrender that needs to be found of just being like, okay, like I just got to get through things day by day, be present, and really be the best version of myself and make sure that I'm investing a lot of quality into finding the best reality, the best version of myself. And that's going to relate positively so well somewhere. And maybe it's not with the current energy in our lives. Maybe it is. And I pray that it is for all of you. But if it's not, this is where you know that it's not. So pretty pretty good stuff, I would say. Like this is where we learn a lot. This is one of those weekends where it's like, wow, we can really learn a lot about where we're at and how much people have a pull in our life, for good or for bad. And I think when you see that there's a positive pull and people are trying to make you better, such a good relationship. And again, where people are trying to pull you down into, their level that's not maybe about the happiness and the love and the joy and the growth, then it's gonna feel sticky and a little gross. And just want to be mindful of that. It's a big weekend for what's going on with people in our lives. So that's, a big thing to pay attention for. And yeah, always good. It's good to learn. It's good to learn these lessons one way or another. And I think that's the positive approach to all of this. And, the way to look at it is like the truth is definitely available right now. And the stories are definitely dissolving. And that's clarity. And that's what so many people want, right? Is this clarity in life. And it's funny because I feel like this is the astrology where it's like, oh, you want clarity? Here you go. And we just get smacked upside the head a little bit with clarity. And then we're like, God, why? No, I want clarity all the time, but like this, so we just all need to be appreciative for the clarity that we do find and use it and grow from it and see the beauty in the growth and see the beauty in the future and definitely keep a good, good emotional and mental and, heart-centered focus on what we're trying to establish and grow with moving forward. Big weekend. The Knight of Wands in reverse. I think I love you. Who the F are you? Oh, badass tarot. Seriously, though, like, what a funny, card and just writing to get for this astrology because just the words, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the words. I think I love you. Who the fuck are you? It's almost like I do kind of feel like there's this weird sort of flip going on too, where it's like, wow, just when you think you know somebody, or I thought I knew this thing so well, like all of a sudden energies just flip. And it's like you don't know anymore. And there's just like tons of change and growth going on with people. And that sometimes is the hardest thing when it comes to dealing with different relationships in our life. Because sometimes that change threatens another person's truth and another person's, the way that they, find their own empowerment in some ways. And it takes them out of their own safety or security. So it's almost like we don't know, we're kind of like relearning who a lot of people are right now. We're almost relearning a little bit about who we are right now, but that can be more about relearning, how powerful and evolved we're becoming as individuals and as a species and as souls. But it's interesting contrasting that with others. So be aware out there. Interesting card. I love you all. Have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you all on Monday. Much love. Peace.